want to touch you, or pet you, and you naturally, what you do, you think you have some cobweb or something, you want to like, what is it? Who touch me? And you look, and there's no one there.
Are ghosts and haunted houses real? For countless people around the world, the answer is a firm yes. And with the sheer number of unsettling videos, eerie photos, and bone-chilling stories out there, it's not hard to see why.
From the outside, it's just a beautiful estate, just like any other down here. On the inside, it was her very own secret torture chamber. The slaves were afraid to speak to anybody for fear that they would be next.
From shadowy figures caught on camera to unexplained whispers in empty halls, the evidence just keeps stacking up. Across the globe, there are homes so drenched in mystery and misfortune that locals avoid them entirely. These aren't just spooky old buildings with creaky floorboards.
Well, the Winchester Mystery House is a very special place. It was built with no master plan, but there are a lot of architectural oddities that remain a mystery as to why they're here.
They are places where people have fled in the middle of the night. Get ready to explore the 15 most haunted houses on Earth. Number 15. LaLaurie House, New Orleans. At 1140 Royal Street in New Orleans' French Quarter, LaLaurie House looks like any other stately home with its iron balconies and pastel walls, but its past is anything but ordinary. In the 1830s, Delphine LaLaurie was praised as a gracious hostess and devoted wife. Rumors swirled that 2 of her husbands died suddenly, but the real horror waited behind those elegant doors. One night, a kitchen fire broke out. Firefighters rushed in and discovered locked rooms filled with tools of torture, blood-stained floors, and hidden slaves in chains. Delphine vanished soon after, never to face justice. Since then, the house has drawn thrill-seekers and ghost hunters. Visitors share stories of soft moans echoing down silent hallways, even when no one else is near. Some feel icy drafts in rooms that should be warm. On quiet nights, neighbors report glimpsing a pale woman gliding past windows, her face pressed against the glass. A handful of guests claim bedside tables slide across floors and lamps flicker without cause. A local guide once confessed to quitting a paranormal tour after an unseen hand tapped his shoulder. Production crews for American Horror Story. Coven spoke of cameras malfunctioning and sudden cold spots that chilled them to the bone. Locals also say former tenants moved out overnight, unable to stand the unshakable dread. Passing the wrought iron gate after sunset feels different. The laughter and music of nearby bars fade. Footsteps slow, and shadows stretch like dark fingers across the sidewalk. Even a gentle breeze can send a shiver down the spine. The silence inside often feels overwhelming. Attempts to restore the interior usually stall, as carpenters and painters report tools disappearing and fresh paint flaking off. For those drawn to dark history, LaLaurie House offers a lesson in chilling reality. It proves real events can outshine any ghost story. Yet if peaceful sleep is a priority, Royal Street after dark is best avoided. Number 14. Himurro Mansion, Japan. Deep in Japan's misty woods stands the abandoned Himurro Mansion, its grand entrance now rusted and half hidden by creeping vines. Locals share hushed tales of the Himurro family, a clan once respected for its wealth, until whispers of dark rituals spread. Every 50 years, they perform the strangling ritual to pacify vengeful spirits. A young woman from the village was bound in sacred ropes and dragged through the mansion's silent corridors until the ceremony ended in tragedy. Today, tatami mats hold dark stains, and faded scrolls with strange symbols cling to cracked walls. Enter the main hall, and an eerie hush greets you. Footsteps echo like distant thunder, even when you stand alone. Some visitors swear they hear faint sobbing from behind closed doors. Others feel the ropes tighten on their wrists, though no one touches them. A team of urban explorers set up cameras one moonless night, hoping to capture proof.
This is kind of nasty if you ask me. Not like downstairs. Downstairs is different.
Their footage showed dust motes dancing in flashlight beams, until a pale figure appeared. She wore a white kimono, hair wet and tangled, dragging herself toward the lens. The camera cut out, and the team fled before dawn, leaving equipment behind. Adventure seekers might be tempted, but the estate seems to reject intruders. Gates creak open on their own, and doors slam without wind. Even the bravest guide might feel an invisible presence pressing against their back.
I feel like you're around. You're making noises and things are moving. What was that?
One researcher brought a small shrine, but it vanished by sunrise. Garden paths remain choked with ivy, while candlelight illusions flicker at windows. Walking past the overgrown path, a sense of dread grows with every step. The trees above twist into shadowy shapes, and broken windows stare like empty eyes. Nature is reclaiming the structure, but the weight of history lingers in every corner. Number 13. Monte Cristo Homestead, Australia. Monte Cristo Homestead in Junee, Australia, is widely known as the country's most haunted house. Visitors tell of chills, odd smells, and doors swinging open. A documentary crew brought cameras and sensors to prove unusual events. Over weeks, they recorded voices without a source and ghostly figures drifting by dusty windows. 3 spirits dominate the tales of the Monte Cristo homestead. A woman in a white dress glides across the drawing room, pausing at grimy windows. A young boy stands atop the stairs before vanishing behind the banister. Christopher Crawley, the original owner, roams the gardens by lantern, as if chasing someone lost. The stables hide a sad ghost. A stable boy, locked inside by a cruel master, died in darkness. His footsteps tap across floorboards at night, startling anyone who dares enter. On the veranda, a faded bloodstain marks where a pregnant maid ended her life. Another maid's son, Harold, survived a coach accident, but suffered brain damage and spent years chained in an outbuilding. His anguished cries still echo through the walls, and chains clink without warning. The air grows cold whenever his spirit draws near. The coach house holds Morris, a sick boy whose straw mattress was set alight. He died away from home, but his charred figure lingers in the shadows. In 1917, baby Ethel Crawley fell down the stairs. Visitors say they feel tiny fingers brushing their ankles or a small hand pushing them upward as they climb. Finally, caretaker Jack Simpson was shot on the front porch in 1960. Die, Jack, ha ha, remains carved into an outbuilding door, a chilling reminder of his fate. Lights flicker at odd hours, and objects sometimes hurl themselves across rooms. Monte Cristo Homestead stands as a living record of tragedy and mystery. It invites brave souls to explore its restless halls and face its many spirits. Number 12. The Sallie House, Kansas. In Atchison, Kansas, a Victorian house on 2nd Street holds a chilling reputation as the most haunted home in the country. Locals call it the Sallie House for the little girl whose spirit is said to linger. Its tall windows hint at grand days gone by, but the walls hide dark memories. Built in the mid-1800s, it saw many families come and go, yet none left a mark as tragic as 6-year-old Sally. It has drawn investigators and thrill-seekers for decades. Sally fell ill with appendicitis one autumn and died on the operating table in the house itself after surgery went wrong. Neighbors whispered her doctor father rejected her because her mother remained a secret. Staff claim to hear her cries from the attic, and some say they've seen a small figure in a blood-stained nightgown. In the 1990s, Tony and Deborah Pickman moved in. Almost immediately, strange events began. Tony woke to cold handprints on his back and discovered bruises on his arms. Deborah heard the laughter of children in empty rooms. Doors slammed with no wind, and figures appeared at the end of hallways before vanishing. The couple installed cameras, but the footage only deepened the mystery, capturing shadows that darted across doorways. A paranormal team uncovered records of a middle-aged woman who died there under unclear circumstances. Some say her angry spirit fuels violent outbursts to protect Sally's memory. Others debate which ghost truly haunts the halls. Investigators recorded EVPs capturing words like "moom" and demands to leave now. Visitors speak of cold spots that freeze breath, shadows skittering in corners, and mist drifting through hallways on camera. People report sudden screams behind locked doors and unseen hands tugging coats. One guest woke up with a handprint pressed into her cheek. Today, the Sallie House offers guided ghost tours after dark, but many skip the attic rooms. The house remains a magnet for ghost hunters and skeptics. Some leave shaken, convinced Sally and her guardian still roam the halls. Others blame old wood and creaks, yet all who enter feel its restless pulse and wonder if some memories never die. Number 11. The Villisca Axe Murder House, Iowa. On a quiet street in Villisca, Iowa, The house at 508 East 2nd Street hides a chilling secret. In the early morning hours of June 10, 1912, someone crept inside and ended 8 lives with an axe while the victims slept. J.B. Moore, his wife, their 4 children, and 2 young friends were found murdered. That night changed the town forever. The killer vanished without a trace, and the case never saw justice. Newspaper reporters flooded the town, eager to capture every grisly detail. Stories of bloody footprints on the staircase and strange shadowy figures walking past the windows sent shivers down readers across the country.
It's a crime that's gone unsolved for more than 90 years. An entire family and 2 of their friends hacked to death as they slept. And it all happened in the little town of Villisca, Iowa.
Townspeople whispered that the cries of the innocents still echo through the empty rooms. By 1944, Darwin and Martha Lynn arrived with a mission to restore the house to its original appearance, preserving the stains of history rather than erasing them. Their work sparked fresh interest and opened the house for haunted tours. Visitors today step carefully through the darkened halls, snapping photos and feeling sudden chills when no wind stirs. Cameras often capture unexplained orbs of light hovering near the beds and along the attic rafters. Across the threshold, a faint smell of wood polish mixes with something colder, like damp earth. Guides point out the upstairs bedroom where doctors once examined the bodies under flickering lantern light. Chipped paint and cracked walls hint that the house refuses to heal. Even skeptical visitors feel chills in the still air. Some guests claim to hear a child's laughter drifting down the hallway or see a small figure darting past a doorway. Others feel a heavy weight on their chest when they rest near the murder room. Guides in period clothes recount the names and ages of the victims, giving faces to the restless spirits said to linger here. Number 10. Winchester Mystery House, California. In 1886, Sarah Winchester left her home in New Haven and traveled west to San Jose, California. She purchased a modest 8-room farmhouse and set to work on a renovation that turned into a lifelong obsession. Over the next 36 years, her house grew into a sprawling estate that swallowed millions of dollars in gold at the time. By the time Sarah died in 1922, the mansion boasted over 160 rooms, 40 bedrooms, multiple staircases that led to ceilings, and windows looking into other walls. Indoor plumbing, hot showers, central heating, and elevators made the house a marvel of modern living. Yet it was the strange design details that drew the most attention. Doors opened onto thin air, staircases climbed to nowhere, and secret passageways wound through dusty hallways. Visitors who enter today still wonder why the late owner kept adding rooms and corridors with no clear purpose. Legend says Sarah believed she was haunted by spirits, the ghosts of those killed by the famous Winchester rifle. After losing her husband and infant daughter, she consulted a medium in Boston. The psychic told her she must keep building without rest to appease the restless souls. Any pause in construction, the spirits warned, would bring her doom. So hammers rang day and night. In 1906, a massive earthquake shook the Bay Area, reducing the mansion's top 3 floors to rubble and damaging much of the rest. Sarah boarded up the wrecked portion, interpreting the quake as a sign from the spirits that she had built too close to completion. That half of the house remained sealed for decades, though curious explorers can still glimpse the damage. Number 9. Mudhouse Mansion, Ohio. On a lonely stretch of Mudhouse Road, an empty mansion looms from a grassy hill, its dark windows like hollow eyes. Built in the 1850s, Mudhouse Mansion sits at 4730 Mudhouse Road, surrounded by crumbling outbuildings that once housed horses and helpers. Now those same barns echo with ghostly whispers when the wind blows at dusk. Despite a weathered "No Trespassing" sign nailed to the gate, thrill seekers and paranormal teams slip past the rusted hinges to explore inside. People report hearing muffled screams in the cellar, or soft crying from rooms where nothing but dust remains. Some swear they've seen shadowy figures drifting past broken panes, arms outstretched as if begging for rescue. One dark tale ties back to a government official who bought the place after the Civil War and kept former slaves in a back building. Rumor says one chained man dug his way free, crept into the main house, and murdered everyone he found. Bloodstains on the floor still show up in flashlight beams, though rain and time should have washed them away. Another version blames a 20th century family that vanished overnight. Their beds lay untouched, dinner plates sat on the table, and only a single footprint was found in the parlor dust. Some visitors claim the air grows thick and heavy there, as if the house itself is breathing. At twilight, the mansion's shape casts long shadows across the hill, and the outbuildings lean in like silent sentinels. Doors lock themselves, mirrors reflect faces that disappear when you blink, and distant footsteps chase you down the hall. Mudhouse Mansion doesn't just stand empty, it hungers for company, replaying its tragedies for anyone brave, or foolish, enough to wander inside. Number 8. Willows Weep, Kauga, Indiana. Willows Weep sits in Kauga, Indiana, with a name that hints at something dark. Locals call it the most evil house in America, and that label seems fair once the place is studied.
Deliberately want to construct an evil place, unless perhaps it wasn't meant to attract.
From above, the layout makes an upside-down cross, a shape tied to dark rituals and faith, not a usual choice for a family home. This 1,427 square foot house, said to have been built around 1890, stands alone among empty fields. Its weathered wood and broken windows add to the feeling that this place hides its own rules. The house reached wide attention after it appeared in the History Channel's The Unexplained episode, Evil Places.
When I bought the house, we started working on it, and then my son was working on the ceiling. The boards come flying off at him.
Paranormal expert Brenda Zimmerman now owns the property and guided viewers through its haunted halls. People learned about the chilling tales inside. Minnie Lamb, the first known resident, died of bronchial pneumonia in 1932. She and her husband, Anuel Sykes, had one daughter, Mary May Runyon. In 1923, a local doctor was called on January 12th and noted that the child was on the edge of a nervous breakdown, but slowly improving under care. Years later, in 1999, Curtis and Cheryl Skinner bought the place. Tragedy struck again when Cheryl died of a heart attack at age 42 in 2001. Curtis died by suicide in 2006 at 63. Some stories mention 3 men poisoned in the house, but records are sparse, and the details can't be confirmed. Those brave enough to explore report strange attacks, footsteps with no source, ghostly voices, shadowy figures, and objects moved by unseen hands. The garden is overgrown, and plants refuse to grow close to the foundation. After a string of strange events, the house is closed to paranormal teams and the public. Standing outside, the air feels much heavier, as if the land keeps the house's secrets locked inside. Number 7. Lizzy Bordon House, Fall River, Massachusetts. The Lizzy Bordon House stands in Fall River, Massachusetts, and holds one of the most infamous crimes ever in the United States. On August 4th, 1892, Andrew and Abby Bordon were found dead in their home.
On August 4th, 1892, Andrew Bordon and his wife Abby were brutally murdered by hatchet in the house.
Each struck multiple times with an axe. The rhyme about 40 whacks gives a chilling echo. Lizzy Bordon took an axe, even though the real events remain murky. Lizzy, Andrew's daughter, quickly became the focus of every headline.
Andrew's daughter, Lizzy, was suspected and tried, and she was acquitted of the crime.
She stood trial and faced the daunting gaze of jurors, but in June 1893, she was found not guilty. Though acquitted, many believed she had planned the murders. The courtroom drama gripped the nation, and newspapers sprinted each day to print the latest twist. In the decades that followed, the Bordon home changed hands. Visitors report loud footsteps echoing along empty halls, and a woman's voice that seems to come from nowhere. Laughs ring out at odd times, as if someone outside the walls finds the mystery amusing. Even guides on public tours shiver when they describe cold spots that unfold without warning. The house on 2nd Street now operates as a museum, complete with period furniture and exhibits about the case. Some guests carry a copy of the trial papers, hoping to catch a glimpse of Lizzy's own words. A law firm in Boston still keeps the original case files under lock and key, and they are not open for public view. Number 6. Rose Hall, St. James, Jamaica. Rose Hall sits on a green hill in St. James, Jamaica. From a distance, the 3-story white mansion glows under the Caribbean sun, but its beauty hides a dark past. Built in the late 1700s, it earned the name Calendar House for its 365 windows, 52 doors, and 12 bedrooms, a number for every day, week, and month. Today, it's known as one of the most haunted spots on Earth. The first story begins in 1746, when English planter Henry Fanning bought the 290-acre estate. He and his Irish bride, Rosa Kelly, were married in 1747, but Henry died just months later. Rosa married again, but never had children. When she died, the property went to John Rose Palmer, the son of Rosa's second husband. John married Annie Palmer, a woman whose reputation sent shivers through the island. Stories claim she practiced voodoo, used slaves as lovers, and showed no mercy to anyone standing in her way. Legends say she tortured and killed men she found weak, including her husband, John.
All of whom died naturally. Unlike Annie, she had murdered all three of hers.
Visitors reported hearing her laughter echo through empty rooms and seeing a figure in white drifting on balconies at dusk. Some believe the sorrow of plantation workers still clings to these walls. After Annie's death in 1868, the house stood empty for years. Tours began in the 1960s, and guests still feel cool spots near the old kitchen and hear whispers in the grand foyer. Some say Annie waits for new victims to join her ghostly game. Others describe sudden gusts of wind inside closed rooms and doors slamming on their own. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. As dusk swallowed the horizon, paranormal journalist Eliza Morrow arrived at the crumbling iron gates of Blackthorn Manor. The house, one of the infamous names on her newest assignment, 15 Most Haunted Houses on Earth, loomed with a silence so heavy it seemed to breathe. Rumors spoke of vanished guests, of mirrors that reflected strangers instead of one's own face. Eliza, ever the skeptic, dismissed the tales as folklore meant to fuel ghost tours and local legend. Inside, the air crackled with cold. Her flashlight flickered, then died. In the pitch darkness, whispers bloomed around her, soft, unintelligible, but unmistakably human. Then a piano played from the parlor. She followed the sound, only to find the room empty, save for a portrait on the wall. It was her, dressed in Victorian black, eyes hollow, smile wrong. Eliza fled, but the front door had vanished. In its place, a mirror. It showed not her, but a house, Blackthorn, burning, its windows filled with screaming faces. No one ever found Eliza Morrow, only her notes, left on the manor's threshold. And now, her name mysteriously appears on the list of the 15 most haunted houses on Earth. But can a person become a haunted house? Number 5. Bell Witch Farm, Adams, Tennessee. Along U.S. Highway 41 in Adams, Tennessee, a blue state highway marker teases travelers with the tale of the Bell Witch. Back in 1804, John and Lucy Williams Bell moved to Middle Tennessee with their many children, hoping for a fresh start. Their house sat on land once claimed by Native American groups, and no one guessed it would soon host something otherworldly. By around 1816, odd things began happening. Soft knocks echoed through empty rooms. Doors swung open without wind. Footsteps tapped down hallways at night. Even more disturbing, spots of cold air crept along walls and beds. Sometimes it got so violent the whole house trembled, as if a storm had rolled inside. When the spirit chose a target, it favored John Bell. Sharp pains, bruises, and strange bites plagued his body. It tried to strangle his daughter Betsy too, while she slept. Slaves working in the yard spoke of a mocking voice that cackled and called names. Covers slid off beds, pillows flew, and plates crashed to the floor during dinner. Then the Bell Witch found her voice. She spoke in a harsh, hissing tone, quoting scripture and debating local churchgoers. She attacked the congregation at weekly prayer meetings, rattling walls and singing out loud. As her harassing grew bold, she warned folks against trusting certain ministers and insulted neighbors by name. After years of terror, John Bell grew wasted. On December 20th, 1820, history records his death. Some locals say the spirit poisoned him. She finally left the Bell household in 1824, but rumors say she still lurks around the old homestead, ready to remind anyone who listens why the Bell Witch is one of Tennessee's best-known ghosts. Number 4. Dean House, Alberta. In the heart of Calgary, Alberta, near the Rushing Bow River, stands Dean House. Built in 1906 by Richard Burton Dean, Superintendent of the Royal Northwest Mounted Police, this stately home hides a darker side. From its grand wooden porch to its tall windows, Dean House has watched decades pass. Yet behind its elegant walls, many tragedies unsettled its guests. Over the years, Dean House saw its share of strange and grisly events. Legend tells of an unseen force pushing a man down the front stairs. His body tipped over railings, leaving him badly hurt. On another cold evening, a sharp gunshot rang out on the porch. When neighbors checked, there was no one around, only a single bullet hole in the weathered wood. 3 confirmed suicides add to the house's reputation. A lonely child, only 5 years old, was found lifeless in an attic cupboard. A young lover, distraught on Valentine's Day, chose the house's shadowy hallway to end their sorrow. Then a teenage girl, heartbroken and desperate, jumped from a second-floor window, landing in the icy river below. After these tragedies, people gave Dean House a ghostly reputation that lingers today. Number 3. House of Death, New York City. Hidden behind a brick facade in Greenwich Village, the House of Death looks like any other brownstone, but the name hints at a darker side. In 1897, cyclist Fred H. Andrews collided with a young boy and broke his leg. Arrested by local police, he left more questions than answers, and some whispered his actions were deliberate. In 1900, the famous author Mark Twain moved in. While working on his next book, Twain claimed to hear voices and glimpse shadowy figures drifting through walls. Local rumors swirled that restless spirits roamed its narrow hallways. Twain's letters hint at a deep unease, though he never named the house in print. Centuries of misfortune piled up after Twain left. On April 12, 1987, a chilling call to 911 by a frantic mother revealed a scene ripped from nightmares. First responders found 6-year-old Lisa Nussbaum unresponsive. Investigators later uncovered horrific abuse by her father, Joel Steinberg, who had terrorized his family in secret. The little girl's spirit now joins the others. Locals swear they still see. Witnesses report lights flickering in empty rooms, footsteps echoing through silent halls, and sudden temperature drops near the staircase. Shadowy forms drift behind curtains and vanish when anyone turns to look. Driven by madness or something older, the House of Death refuses to let its stories stay buried. Passers-by sometimes feel an icy chill along the sidewalk. What lingers behind its walls? Believers and skeptics alike wonder what lies hidden within. Number 2. Hermitage Castle, Scotland. High on the banks of the River Liddle in Scotland's border country, Hermitage Castle looms like a dark giant. Built in the 1300s, its thick stone walls and narrow windows make it feel more like a fortress than a home. Over centuries of wars and clan feuds, the castle earned a fearsome reputation. 2 spirits stand out in local legend, each with a tale more chilling than the last. The first soul said to wander the halls is Sir Alexander Ramsay. In the 14th century, Ramsay served as Sheriff of Teviotdale and worked alongside Sir William Douglas, known as the Knight of Liddesdale. But Douglas grew jealous and locked Ramsay in the castle's dungeon cells. Ramsay starved there, his cries for mercy echoing off stone walls, until he died a slow, painful death. Today, visitors claim to hear faint groans and feel sudden drops in temperature near the old prison rooms. Second is the dark figure of Lord Soulsby, better known as Bad Lord Solus. According to legend, Solus practiced cruel magic and tortured children in secret rituals. The townspeople caught him in the act, dragged him to the courtyard, and boiled him alive in a giant cauldron. Some say his tortured spirit still haunts the ruins, seeking revenge. Visitors around the castle grounds sometimes glimpse a tall, gaunt shape near the old brew well or hear distant screams carried by the wind. Beyond these two, other strange encounters add to the castle's lore. Flickering lights dance across empty corridors when no torches burn. Shadows shift at the corner of the eye, only to vanish when one turns. A ghostly woman in white, said to be Lady Gilbert, is spotted near the collapsed walls, drifting toward the river. Number 1. Franklin Castle, Cleveland, Ohio. Perched on a quiet street in Cleveland's Ohio City, Franklin Castle stands like a fairy tale turned real. Built in the 1800s by Hans Tiedemann, a wealthy brewer with a temper, its towers and turrets hint at grandeur and secrets. After moving in, tragedy struck. Tiedemann's daughter Emma died in 1886 from complications linked to diabetes. Years later, his mother passed away, followed by 3 of his sons, each death blamed on illness. His wife Louise died too, officially from liver failure, though whispers claimed Tiedemann was to blame. Rumors grew. Neighbors spoke of strange cries in empty rooms, doors slamming on their own and cold spots in the hall. Some said hidden passages held forgotten bones. Stories emerged that Tiedemann may have secretly fathered a hidden child, or worse, killed family members one by one. In the 20th century, the house changed hands, even serving as headquarters for a German social club. Some claimed spies used its secret spaces during World War II. In the 1970s, renovations uncovered human bones behind plaster walls, deepening the mystery. Visitors today share tales of flickering lights, ghostly figures at the windows and doors that lock themselves from inside. Paranormal teams have recorded unexplained sounds and sudden drops in temperature. Despite fresh paint and restorations, Franklin Castle wears its history like a heavy cloak. So now that you've seen the shadows, heard the whispers, and felt the chill, would you dare spend a night in any of these haunted houses?